And that is that, you guys. We end tonight's game 1-1 against RB Salzburg. This was the first game in charge for Graham Potter. All the headlines, the hype, the expectation was going into this game. A lot of curiosity to see some of the differences that Graham Potter was going to introduce to this team compared to his SAT counterpart in Thomas Tuchel. I guess realistically, a lot hasn't changed in the sense that the players today collectively made a multitude of mistakes to easily allow Salzburg back into the game. This now leaves us at the bottom of our group stage table in the Champions League. Our next game is against AC Milan. We'll be playing against Rafael Leao, who's on absolute fire at this point in time. I'm feeling very nervous right now. We can't be in a situation where we get knocked out or where we're playing Europa League football. That just can't happen at all. Not with the money and investment that's been spent. It's not ideal. It's not great. At the same time, Potter, his first game in charge, 1-1, was the exact same as Thomas Tuchel's against Wolves all those years back as well too. So for me, just like Thomas Tuchel when he first took over from the club, it was a process of a few games before he was able to find a little bit of rhythm at least. And we saw that rhythm a lot more in our Champions League run, which was absolutely spectacular. So tonight isn't enough of a reason to be lambasting Graham Potter for anything. Tonight we saw a lot of interesting tweaks and changes from the manager that I think with more time working with the squad, working with the team, working with the players, and hopefully finding the best starting 11 to use in the game today as well too, we should see some interesting changes that can take us forward into the future. Now we're going to have a very long break with the international break coming up very soon as well too. Probably not as ideal, but I guess this gives Potter and his team a bit more time now to work with players, working on tactics, setups, etc, etc. He recently just took over. It's not like he's had 2 weeks with the team. But for me, I saw a lot of promise. But at the same time, we saw some of the things that Graham Potter is going to have to do to improve us. And I'd say those 2 things are going to be that complacency. You know, we were 1-0 up in the game. When you look at the big teams, instantly when they get the first goal, they want to get the second goal straight away to kill the game off as quickly as possible. That's what the best teams are doing. We get the first goal, we're very happy, we're smiling, and the intensity levels drop a little bit. When the subs came on, that double sub of Ruben and Breuer replacing Aubameyang and Kai Havertz, it was quite interesting in my opinion. And I guess that actually reduced the intensity in the team a little bit. I wasn't seeing that willingness to score goals to kill the game off. And instead, you're seeing RB Salzburg all of a sudden prodding up in certain areas, taking advantage of, small little lax pieces of defending. In the end, they get their reward from a incredible team collective failure right from the top, where Sterling and Kovac losing the ball. And then after that as well, so not getting closed down in midfield to win the ball back. Sterling then not winning his ball. And I guess maybe the ultimate culprit, which was very undeserving actually, in Thiago Silva, who I thought was very good in this game today. That was his slide tackle to win. I don't know why he went in with both feet like that. The ball kind of bounced off him. And Azpilicueta, maybe he was assuming Silva had that under control, absolutely, because throughout the entire game, I felt like they kind of really marshaled the promising youthful strike force of RB Salzburg. But at this level, when you're playing in the Champions League, the smallest mistakes will compound and come to bite you in the arse again. Potter is going to have to address how we come back to, kill these games off. He needs to bring more of that killer threat and vibe in the team as well. I'm sure he is going to do that. And few small positives we saw today. It does kind of paint a picture towards more promise, especially in terms of what we can do offensively. Now, of course, interestingly enough, you look at the stats, what many shots on target? We get more shots on target, of course, once we let the equaliser go in. And I have to say, the reaction from the players at least, rectify the mistake to come back at least, more aggressiveness, pressing, closing down, running, was there. Ultimately, it was not to be in the end, but I'm not going to sit here and act like this is going to be the vibe for the entirety of the season. A bit of realism has to kick into play now. New management literally just came in. And at least for me, the reaction from the players was actually there. And it has to be there because it's their opportunity now to win a place in the team. It's their opportunity now to prove to Porto why they need to be the first team players that they can rely upon. So in today's review, I want to speak about a few things. I'll be talking about some of the differences we've seen with Graham Potter. I'll talk about Ziyech. I'm going to talk about Raheem Sterling, and I'm going to talk about Kai Havertz as well too. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Now, I guess the first thing to start off with is the formation that Graham Potter used in the game today. Now, there was a lot of confusion about whether it was like a back three setup, and to be fair, it's, you know, typical things that we've kind of seen from Thomas Tuchel in that sense of that type of, positional fluidity, flexibility. Off the ball, it was more of like a back five. Attacking, it became more of a back four with Cucurella being at the wide left-sided centre-back, who, whenever he was stepping up a bit higher to receive, he would always be very aggressive, obviously very positive, and would carry that ball forward. And when he did that, that was then cue for Raheem Sterling to then make runs out wide to the left-hand side. And then you were seeing the wide rotations there at times, and you were seeing that central presence between the lines as well too. And it was interesting, you know, we saw that Graham Potter, for example, who have maybe Jorginho move back to become part of the back line. Maybe he thinks instead of marshalling in front of a defence, you know, knowing that he has that lack of physical presence, he can get done in those areas. And then when he's done in those areas, it means that you're forcing your defender to have to move out into no man's land and engage in areas he doesn't want to engage in. So I thought that was quite an interesting way of doing things. And I thought at times that pivot was working a little bit too. You know, George Cover, I thought looked decent as well too. And I just think playing with that back four, allowing us to have ball men to push forwards, you know, Raheem on the left, Mount on the right hand side, Kai playing as a number 10, who I'll get onto later on in this video. You know, it definitely presented a lot of like unique attacking situations that we haven't necessarily seen so much recently due to the automatisms that Thomas Tuchel really heavily relied upon. So that was one of the first interesting things seen by Graham Potter. We know that his whole philosophy is about, you know, attacking possession football with a lot of emphasis on positional fluidity and flexibility. So, you know, that's going to need a bit more time. You're not going to just clock that in one game against RB Salzburg in the Champions League. So let's continue to see how that progresses. Let's discuss more differences, and let's discuss actually how we were attacking as a team. And the main thing is how we are creating chances now. Now, watching it for me, I felt like I was seeing quite a lot of different type of like passing passages. I was seeing a lot of movement in behind. I was seeing a lot of players willing to break the lines. I was seeing more central occupation, which is the main thing. And I think for me, this is kind of the things I want to see, because, you know, at this level, for clubs like us, you can't just have, the manager just can't tell players what to do exactly to a T. You know, we had that before. It kind of weared itself out in the end. You know, you need that balance, that combination of, you know, giving a bit of structure, but also players also take responsibility using their quality, because they're top 4 level players, to be able to then take advantage of moments in games. And I think that this is what we need a bit more time now, because Potter is giving responsibility now to the decision making for the attacking players. So now they're going to get a bit more freedom and expression. It's going to be up to them to really maximize that style of football. But by playing like this, it is going to take a bit more time for these guys to build that level of understanding, because we have to keep things brutally honest, you guys. Over a few months now, we weren't seeing that attacking understanding or that improvement in our offensive play at all. So, you know, we have to accept reality of the situation, and knowing the fact that our attacking patterns and plays weren't really that great to begin with. I can't imagine in one game of a guy being here for a few days, things are going to change just like that. You know, it's not FIFA, it's not going to work like that. But at least we're seeing a difference behind the willingness to engage, push more men forwards. And honestly, I think this is where it falls in nicely and segues in very nicely now to Raheem Sterling. Now, Raheem Sterling was one of our most dangerous threats in this game today. Of course, he got the goal. Very nice finesse into the bottom right corner. And actually, the reason why he got the goal is based on, again, the way Potter wants his team to attack now. I nearly said Tuchel. It's still a bit of a mad transition for me. I need to keep things real, you guys. But again, he wants to create 1v1 space out wide on the left. He wants to isolate Raheem Sterling, because when you isolate good players like Raheem Sterling, you know, he's good enough to know when to cut inside, to put a cross in, or to link up, or to take a shot. And he also has the pace to go on the outside as well, to put a cross and, you know, play those supporting assists into the box as well too. That's what you want to do. And I feel like we were seeing a lot of like nice wide rotations between Cucurella, who was playing like this auxiliary type of you know, back three role, having the license to then push up and engage as well. And Cover as well too was doing a lot of those Maurizio Sarri wide runs to the left hand side. So they were creating a lot of moments, you know, create the isolation for Raheem Sterling to be able to, you know, run in behind, to be able to have that offensive threat. So that is a positive. And I did think that we looked quite threatening at times. The only thing that kind of ruined the attack a lot of times is the fact that it was the execution of a lot of like final passes, a lot of final balls. And at least for me, I was seeing the urgency to create, and at least a bit more bravery, a bit more variety in terms of what we were looking to do to create some damage against RB Salzburg. So it wasn't all too negative, and I think overall Raheem Sterling had a pretty good game. And I think in this role, it's kind of similar to how he was kind of being used a little bit at Man City. You know, you give him that space out wide, you isolate him against his man, and you give him the responsibility to do what he has to do because he's a top player. So I think will definitely benefit a lot from a Raheem Sterling, who's going to really enjoy playing in this role, because we created a lot of space that left-hand channel. So it was no surprise that when Mason Mount put in that quick, low different cross across the goal, no surprise that Sterling that was there unmarked on the left-hand side. And because he had that time and space, he could easily place the ball to the bottom right corner. So that was a big positive in the game for me. I want to see a lot more of that. I mean, it really was a nice way to start the second half. I guess it kind of gassed us all up. I like the nice little rotations between Mount and Reece James throughout the game. Today, I thought both players did look good and did play well as well. So that's the main point out of the way. Let's now move on to the final 2 points. And I guess we're going to discuss Hakim Ziyech. And now let's move on to Hakim Ziyech. I want to keep things quite brief. I think kind of realistically, was he really supposed to be here? You know, he was looking for a move out from the club. He got priced out from his moves to AC Milan, to Ajax. I think his form is not good at all. You know, he's definitely not performing as well. He had a lot of responsibility on that right-hand side, a lot of freedom there as well. And it was just interesting that, of course, he's a good player in that sense of he was finding himself in these good positions to influence the score. Of course, the first effort, rebound straight off the goalkeeper, good save in that sense. Other efforts though, not fully connecting at times with certain shots, even though they were all half chances realistically though. But I just think Ziyech needs a lot of time to really try and get back to trying offer something, knowing the fact that, listen, he will be here until January, until next summer, unless he can get a move quite soon. So I'm hoping that with Potter's introduction now, this is going to be like a re-energizing thing for a lot of players, because I think today, you know, Hakim Ziyech, maybe are we expecting too much from a guy that mentally isn't really here at this point in time? I'm not too sure, but again, it wasn't good from him. It was a little bit disappointing, and I don't know if this was like a different time, a different form, different energy. You're hoping that he's doing better in those scenarios. And now, ending things by moving on to Kai Havertz. In this game today, we actually saw him providing very deep at times, you know, receiving from midfield. A lot more than we've ever seen. You know, a lot of times he was playing as the number 9 under Thomas Tuchel, and this is like the third different position he's played now under 3 different managers. For Lampard, he was a number 8, Tuchel was a number 9, and for Potter, currently it seems like he could be a 10. Now, it was weird. In a tactical perspective, the way he was roaming between the lines, you know, if the ball was on the left-hand side, Kai was the third man option there to link up. In the second half, he was roaming to the right-hand side to be the third man option there to link up. And you do need that. And it was helping us create overloads to get in behind. It's no surprise that we got the first goal in the second half. But I think because I was seeing him get it, I can forgive him for the poor execution a lot at times. I think maybe in the first half, he was more to the left-hand side. A lot of difficult passes. You're hoping maybe the quality is going to help him to... play these balls better, even though they're hard passes he's receiving. But at the same time, you know, I felt like the first half execution wasn't amazing. It looked promising, a few back heels here and there. Second half was a lot better in that sense. I think he's more comfortable down the right-hand side. And maybe that's something Graham Potter learned, because it was quite obvious that he was told to move closer to more of Reece James and Mason Mount in those areas. So again, for me, I saw some promise where maybe something can happen from Kai reverting back to a deeper role where he can have more influence in other passages of our plays. So it wasn't all negative, it wasn't all terrible. So I guess I need to wrap things up now, you guys. This is a weird one. I saw some promise, I saw some interesting things, I can see how things will improve, and I guess when you realise that this is the first game in charge for our new manager who literally produces a draw that our previous manager actually did in this first game as well too, I guess I need to keep that same energy and that same perspective. The only difference is, unfortunately, this had to be a Champions League game for his first game, not a Prem game, because now we have 1 point in 2 games. We got AC Milan next, and now the pressure is piling. So, you guys, that now I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. Catch you guys over some more videos. Cool.